Support for podcasts comes from Milwaukee School of Engineering Center for Professional Education, offering courses in AI machine learning, project management, and more. Program information at msoe.edu/CPE.
You're listening to Lake Effect Spotlight from WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR station. Here's one of our favorite conversations about what's happening in the city.
Milwaukee Public Schools recently approved Annie Kubes as the new Senior Director of Milwaukee Recreation. Milwaukee Rec runs hundreds of programs in the city, from after-school care to youth sports and cooking classes. Kubes has worked for the department since she was 16 years old. Throughout her career, she's overseen various Milwaukee Rec programs, from Special Olympics to driver education and aquatics. She was most recently working part-time as Milwaukee Rec's Special Projects Coordinator. Lake Effect's Xcaret Nuñez speaks with Kubes about her job experience and the goals she has for this role.
So around this time last year, I was speaking with Brian Litzy, the previous senior director of Milwaukee Rec. How did this opportunity open up, and why did you decide to take it on?
Sure. Well, Brian was promoted to the district's chief family, community, and partnerships officer, so that opened up the position of senior director. I've worked for the department in some capacity since I was 16, and I'm very passionate about the work. And so the timing was really great for my family, and I decided to take a risk and apply and hopefully come back to join the team that I care about so much and the work that I'm so passionate about.
As a refresher for our listeners, what does your job entail as the leader of Milwaukee Rec? What are some of your responsibilities?
Sure. Yeah, I'm 3 weeks in, so very much still familiarizing myself with the role, but ultimately leading the efforts of our department. We're very broad. We serve our community in a lot of capacities, and so helping with strategic planning, working in the area of efficiency, making sure that everyone has the tools that they need to be successful, but ultimately just sort of steering the ship, if you will, and making sure that our community is receiving the services that they want and need. So every day is a little bit different. Never quite know what each day will look like, which I love. So yeah, being in the community, engaging with our community members, our partners, and then engaging my team to make sure that the programming we're offering is exactly what our community wants.
So, like you mentioned, it's been about 3 weeks, a month since you started this role. How have things been going so far? How have you approached it?
Yeah, they're going really well. One of the things I missed the most when I was part-time with our department the last 7 years was just the constant access to what I call my people. And so it's been really great to be back with the folks that I've worked with for so many years. And I've been getting caught up to speed on the programs, where everything is, trying to get to know the elements that I may not necessarily know very well. I'm getting out to sites, meeting with our teams. So really listening to staff and stakeholders on how is it gone? What do you need? How can I be helpful? So I'm really in kind of a learning, listening phase right now, but ultimately wanting to position myself to be able to support everyone in the way that they need it and the way that makes the most sense for our department.
So I understand that Milwaukee Rec is something that you grew up with. Tell me how it's played a personal role in your life.
Yeah, I grew up here, graduated from Milwaukee Public Schools, so I spent time in sports camp and arts camp when I was growing up. My sisters and I were all involved in various rec classes. And then when I turned 16, I started working for a therapeutic recreation program in the summer called Club Rec and Camp Congress in the afternoons during the school year till the end of high school. So I had both the experience of participating in recreation, but then also working part-time. And then I started my full-time job with the department in 2005, managing the adaptive athletics and Special Olympics programs, and then worked full-time until 2018. And during that time, I also moved into a management role, coordinating and overseeing our citywide programs. And then my kids also participate now in various sports offerings and other classes, from tumbling teddy bears when my oldest son was 3 to now he's playing basketball with his school. So very much a part of our life, my life, and something that I really place a lot of value on.
Yeah, so it definitely seems like Milwaukee Rec has touched your life all throughout it. Is there a particular recreation class or event that's resonated with you, or have you ever led a class before?
Oh gosh, I don't think I've led a class. I did help create a sensory series of classes. That's something that we've navigated a lot with my own children. And so worked with a team at Beulah Brinton to put together a series of classes to meet the sensory needs of children. And it was something that we needed. And I figured if we needed it, other parents and families probably did as well. So being able to kind of work on that with the team there and then see it come to fruition and then see all the participants and families feel like they were seen and heard and had what they needed really resonated with me. And that was something that I appreciated the opportunity to do that.
That's so amazing. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm Lake Effect's Xcaret Nuñez speaking with Annie Kubes about her taking on the role of Senior Director at Milwaukee Rec. So, as you mentioned, you worked a variety of roles at Milwaukee Rec since you were a teenager, and you also started your career as an MPS special education teacher. How would you say your professional experience has prepared you for this role?
Sure. Honestly, it didn't even occur to me when I was working part-time as a high school student and in college that recreation was a field. And I, growing up, always wanted to be a teacher, specifically in the area of special ed. So I went to school and became a special ed teacher. And there was kind of a natural progression into the adaptive athletics and Special Olympics role because I was serving the same population. So that was kind of my introduction to the rec department. And then when I moved into the role of coordinator of our citywide programs, I had a lot of exposure to a variety of program areas. So, anything from aquatics, outdoor education, active older adults, Special Olympics, driver's ed. It really gave me an opportunity to familiarize myself with a lot of different program areas. And so I think that really helped set me up for success in this role because I have a pretty good handle on what our department does, how individual programs function, who we serve, potential connections within the community. Yeah, I think that role specifically really helped to set me up for success in this role.
And I'm wondering what's something you want to improve or address at Milwaukee Rec during your first year on the job, especially since you have a lot of these personal and professional experiences.
There's a lot of amazing work that's already happening. And so I think in the first year, it's really familiarizing myself with where we have maybe some gaps in service, where the things that we're doing really, really well, maybe we can expand on those. But really building partnerships and relationships with members of our community, whether, it's anchor organizations in specific neighborhoods or nonprofits, other folks that are doing similar work, because we are so much stronger when we collaborate instead of duplicating services. And so really getting out there and hearing from folks what it is that they need and want and being able to figure out ways to incorporate that into our programming and some of the things that we offer.
Yeah, that's great that you mentioned that because I was about to ask you, how will you make sure that you accomplish that goal and serve Milwaukeeans, especially since, of course, we're made up of many different communities and each neighborhood has its own values and needs. So, yeah, how, I guess, will you connect with these community members?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm pretty passionate about is providing a seat at the table, right? So instead of saying at this community center, we're going to offer X, Y, and Z, making sure that we are involving members of that community in the decision making so that we know that we're offering what people actually want to participate in. Same thing with engaging our teens in wondering what programming do you want to see in our late night programs at our twilight centers. So not assuming that we know, but actually engaging community members and other stakeholders in some of that decision making. And a lot of that is based on relationship building. So where I may not have connections or a previous established relationship, contacting some folks and setting up meetings and really trying to engage in an authentic way so that we truly are capturing the needs and desires of the community that we serve and many of us live. I think that's a huge piece of our puzzle.
So I know that Milwaukee Rec has been working on renovating its 52 play fields and building a new community center. But what's an ongoing or upcoming project you're excited to work on?
Yeah, those are both at the top of the list, truly. We're all excited for the 2027 opening of the Milwaukee Recreation Community Center on 76th and Silver Spring, our first standalone community center with a pool. We have Beulah Brinton in Bayview, but really excited for all the opportunities that this will provide. I think rather than a specific project, what I'm excited about is figuring out ways that we can continue to be nimble and flexible and adjust to meet the ongoing changing needs of our community and remaining community-centered, being collaborative in our approach, and then creating efficiency wherever we can.
Well, Annie, before I let you go, are there any classes or events you recommend people check out this winter, or maybe it's something you've signed up for before?
Sure, yeah. Well, we have the Daddy-Daughter Dance that is coming the end of February, and I know that it is filling up fast. That's at the Baird Center. I always love our special events. So we just had Winter Wonderwoods that finished in early December, but it's definitely something to check out next year. Put it on your winter bucket list for Hawthorne Glen. And just our ongoing guide classes as well. So we've got some special events coming up in our Twilight Centers. So lots of things coming in the late winter, early spring. So definitely keep an eye out on the website and our recreation guides.
Well, Annie, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you for having me. We just appreciate the support and look forward to connecting sometime soon.
Annie Kubes is Milwaukee Recreation's new senior director, and she joined Lake Effect's Xcaret Nuñez. Kubes is the department's 12th director in its 115-year history. You can hear more of this conversation at wuwm.com. Milwaukee Recreation is a financial supporter of WUWM.
That was the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast. It comes from WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR station. Lake Effect is WUWM's talk show all about what's happening in the city. If you want to hear more conversations like this, subscribe to the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast, and you'll hear highlights from the show. If you want to hear the full show, it's on the radio at noon, Monday through Friday, on 89.7